Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm Brian. It is the weekend roundup. So when you think controller drift, one console jumps to mind, right? The Switch. It's been legendary for having issues with its Joy-Cons. Well, now it's Xbox's turn. VGC reports that a plaintiff named Donald McFadden has sued Microsoft in Washington state alleging drift in an Xbox Elite controller that he bought for $180. Those things are not cheap, and the lawsuit claims it's a design flaw that lots of other people are experiencing too. So apparently he bought the controller. After a short time, he noticed that the joystick on it started to drift. He then bought a second Elite controller. Dang, Mr. Moneybags over here. But he had the same problem 3 or 4 months later. Now, McFadden said he tried to fix the issue by himself, but nothing worked. The lawsuit claims that the potentiometer within the joystick has a design flaw. If you don't know what that is, I didn't either. Basically, it translates the physical movement of the thumbstick into movement within a game. It says that a wiper component in the potentiometer scrapes material off of a track, basically resulting in an electrical contact without input from the user, causing the drift. Now, here's an interesting point. His lawsuit claims that Microsoft is fully aware of the problem and has received a bunch of complaints about it. It says that, quote, a large volume of consumers have been complaining about stick drift on Xbox One controllers since at least 2014. And the lawsuit is right. There have been complaints about joystick drift. I did a quick search, found Reddit threads, posts on the Microsoft community forums about the issue. One from an Xbox One owner, Robbie Rob 1999, claimed that their left analog stick was drifting and wrote, I'm holding Microsoft responsible for selling a faulty controller. In no shape or form should the solution to this issue be buy a new controller. As I mentioned before, there are many other Xbox One owners whose controllers are defective for the same reason as mine. That was back in 2014. Another post from last year from JJ Fats, this was also on the Microsoft community forums, says they have had that issue repeatedly. They wrote, I own 3 Xbox Ones and have spent many hours fighting with drifting controllers. Eventually, every controller starts to drift, and most after 2 months of playing. I'm sick of paying for a new controller all the time. What are you guys going to do about this? But the suit said that Microsoft, quote, failed to disclose the defect and routinely refuses to repair the controllers without charge when the defect manifests. Microsoft obviously has not responded yet. The suit pointed out that the original Xbox One controller and the Elite controller share the same analog stick assembly. They asked the court to basically lump all those plaintiffs together in a big class action suit. Now, of course, Nintendo has had virtually the same complaints when it comes to the Joy-Cons and the Switch. A class action suit was filed last July. Almost immediately, though, Nintendo started giving free repairs on drifting controllers. GamesIndustry.biz reported that a judge last month denied Nintendo's move to dismiss the suit, but they did send the case to an arbitrator. I gotta say, from my own personal experience, I've noticed a drift on my baseline Xbox One controller. It happened within months of getting it. This one, it drifted almost immediately. I got a launch Switch too, and it had been fine for years, but the left Joy-Con has started drifting as well. So definitely something that both companies need to make right, because it is completely unacceptable. The solution, like that one person said, it can't just be buy a new controller. Those things are expensive. There has to be some sort of quality standard enforced here. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Everybody's been talking about the next-gen consoles, but what about the games? Well, Microsoft says we will be getting a look at some games for the Xbox Series X next week, or if you're watching this on Sunday, later this week. In a tweet, they wrote, you want to see games for the Xbox Series X? We want to show you games for the Xbox Series X. Check out first look next-gen gameplay from our global developers partners within Inside Xbox on Thursday, May 7th. So there we go. In the morning, it's going to happen, 8 a.m. Pacific. We do know that one of the games showed off will be the recently unveiled Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ubisoft Nordic tweeted, we will be happy to reveal our first Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer during the first look Xbox Series X gameplay on Inside Xbox. Stay tuned. So that's something to look forward to. Meanwhile, Xbox boss Phil Spencer continues to talk up how awesome the next-gen games will be. Of course he is. In response to one Twitter question about ray tracing on the new machine, he wrote that it will be great. Phil added, "I'm very focused on the work we are doing around dynamic latency input. In my view, the feel of games this upcoming generation will change as dramatically as any since 2D to 3D. Wow, that's a bold statement. He specifically cited the CPU upgrades, dynamic latency input, memory bandwidth, and of course, solid state drives. So pretty bold claim. We will see if they can live up to it. All right, it looks like we will be getting a new Battlefield game in 2021. IGN reports that EA has confirmed developer DICE will put out a new Battlefield next year. In a recent blog post, DICE said that this week's Battle on Scarif update for Star Wars Battlefront 2 will be the last regular content update for the game. DICE creative director Dennis Bronval said general support for the game will keep going, though, writing that servers, in-game challenges, recurring events such as Double XP, and game support will carry this broad and rich Star Wars gaming experience into the future. It's also been reported that the June content update for Battlefield 5 will also be that game's last one as well. EA told IGN that DICE will still be supporting both games. In a statement, they also said that longer term, the studio is focused on the future Battlefield that we'll be bringing to players in 2021. We don't have details on what that new Battlefield might be. There's been some speculation it might be set in Vietnam. Hopefully they'll support it more than they did Battlefield 5. Let's just put it like that. Doesn't look like there is going to be a WWE 2K21 game next year. Developer 2K announced that they won't be releasing an installment next year. That is almost certainly because all of the negative feedback that 2K20 got, justifiably so, for being a broken, buggy mess. They should spend this time fixing the bad game that they put out already. In a post, 2K wrote, "We want to ensure that the development team at Visual Concepts can create a great game that will entertain grizzled WWE 2K veterans as well as newcomers who want to climb through the ropes and step into the ring for the very first time." Unless the rings are buggy and like electrified like they were in that one clip. That was my favorite story we've done. They've also recruited a new executive producer, the industry veteran Patrick Gilmore, to oversee Visual Concept. They, of course, took over the franchise from longtime developer Ukes, and it was a disaster, so they need all the help they can get. 2K wrote that we are applying what we've learned to the next WWE 2K simulation game with a renewed focus on quality and fun. So there you go. But they are releasing a WWE game this year. It's called WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Looks like a very kind of over-the-top, cartoony brawler. They said it will be out this fall. And finally, Kotaku. Pour another one out. They lost yet another staffer this week. Deputy editor Maddie Myers wrote that they were leaving the site effective immediately. Myers follows Jason Schreier, who is now a part of Bloomberg News, and several other staffers who have left Kotaku recently. Most have made it very clear they aren't happy with the new direction of the site under their new private equity owners, which is never, ever a good sign. Their sister site Deadspin went through a similar issue. Last fall, most of the staff resigned after a fight with ownership. I gotta say, Kotaku looks like it's on its very last legs. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna make hires, but they're losing the heavy hitters. All right, let's do a 5-second review. I usually suck at tactics games, but on this one, I also sucked. Very bad. All right, let's talk about the games coming out next week. First up is Someday You'll Return, a story-driven psychological horror game about a desperate search for a missing daughter deep in the woods where you swore you'd never return. What would you do if your daughter never came home, but you could track her down? Speaking as a parent, I would probably track her down. Apparently, it's not the first time she ran away, but you're uneasy. This time feels so different. Long ago, you swore never to return here, and now she's dragged you back. Your search leads deep into ancient Moravian forests and reveals secrets that should have stayed buried. While your survival skills and quick wits might advance your search, malevolent forces rise up against you. They're nightmares you can't fight and win. Some of them could be yours. Someday You'll Return deals with intimate concepts of fatherhood, fears, lies, and refusal to accept one's past. Sounds like Daddy had some issues. While the story contains strong horror elements, it's not always the most obvious monsters, which are the most frightening. It comes to PC May 5th. Next up, close to the sun, it's 1897. Deep in international waters, the Helios stands still. Dark clouds loom overhead as unforgiving waves crash against the hull. Colossal effigies of gold decorated with magnificent finery stretch as far as the eye can see. Born out of Nikola Tesla's vision, the Helios serves as a haven for the greatest scientific minds, an unbound utopia for research, independent from state and isolated from the gaze of society. Journalist Rose Archer steps aboard the Helios in search of her sister. She quickly discovers not all is as it seems. Grand halls stand empty. The stench of rotting flesh lingers in the air. Boy, I hate that. Silence. A single word is painted across the entrance. Quarantined. Oh no! This one's been out on other platforms. It comes to Steam May 5th. Next up, World War Z Game of the Year Edition. It's a cooperative shooter from developer Saber Interactive. It came out last year, but since then the studio has released even more free content. The Game of the Year will include content like weapon packs, character packs, and most notably a new 3-mission PvE episode set in the French city of Marseille. It also packs in all the previously released DLC, of course. It comes to Xbox One and the PS4 May 5th. John Wick Hex is a fast-paced, action-oriented strategy game that makes you think and strike like John Wick, the professional hitman of the critically acclaimed franchise. Created in close cooperation with the creative teams behind the films, John Wick Hex is a full fight choreographed chess brought to life as a video game, capturing the series' signature gun fu style while expanding its story universe. Players must make quick decisions and choose every action and attack they make, all the while considering their immediate cost and consequences. Featuring a unique blend of strategic momentum-based combat, John Wick Hex captures the feel of the unique tactical combat from the films and blurs the line between strategy and action video games. It comes to PS4 May 5th. Inspired by BioShock and System Shock 2, Void Bastards is a revolutionary new strategy shooter that will test your wits as well as exercise your aim. Can you lead the misfit prisoners of the Void Ark through the derelict spaceships and myriad dangers of the Sargasso Nebula? Forget everything you know about first-person shooters. Void Bastards asks you to take charge, not just point your gun and fire. Your task is to lead the ragtag Void Bastards out of the Sargasso Nebula. You make the decisions, where to go, what to do, and who to fight, and then you must carry out that strategy in the face of strange and terrible enemies. It comes to PS4 and Switch May 7th. All right, guys, that's all the news we've got for you this week. I hope you're staying safe, whatever you're doing. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Friday.
Yes!
That's a good one.
Thank you.
That's quality. Don't be mad at me.
Even in the middle of a global pandemic,